Claude 4.8 might be the strangest AI release of the year. Not because it got dramatically smarter, because the company that built it openly admitted it didn't. So I ran a test. I gave the new model and the old one the same impossible question. The old one answered instantly. Clean, confident. And it was wrong. The new one stopped and said it wasn't sure. That "I don't know" is the part Anthropic treats as the upgrade. Not a smarter model. One that finally learned when to shut up. I spent a week trying to break both. What I found wasn't what I expected. I wasn't exaggerating. When Anthropic announced 4.8, they didn't call it a breakthrough. They called it, and I'm quoting, a modest but tangible improvement. $1 trillion arms race, and the official word is modest. The researcher Simon Willison said it was so refreshing to see a lab honestly describe a release as a minor incremental improvement. And the numbers agree. On the standard coding test, it went from 87 to 88%. Basically flat. That test is nearly maxed out. On the harder version, 64 up to 69. A real gain, but nothing that makes you gasp. So if the benchmarks barely moved, why does the thing feel different to use? That question is where it got interesting. The difference isn't what the model knows. It's what it does when it doesn't know. Older models, for 0.7 included, had a habit. When they were unsure, they guessed. Confidently. For 0.8 does something almost no model did before. When it's not sure, it abstains. It just says so. And the way it earned that score is the strange part. On the test where it scored highest for accuracy, it didn't win by getting more answers right. It won by refusing the ones it would have gotten wrong. The worst AI mistakes aren't the obvious ones. They're the ones that compile, pass review, and ship. Then wake you up at 2 in the morning. I watched it happen. I handed both versions of function with a subtle off-by-1 bug. For 0.7 shipped it, clean and sure. For 0.8 stopped and flagged it. This looks wrong, here's why. Anthropic measured exactly this. The new model is 4 times less likely to let a flaw in its own code slip past. 4 times. On precisely the bug you'd never catch until it was live. The second thing showed up the moment I gave both models real agent work. Long tasks. Dozens of steps. The kind where it has to call a tool, read the result, and keep going. For 0.7 had an annoying tell. Sometimes it would just skip a tool call it clearly needed and assume the answer instead of checking. And an agent that's confidently wrong for 50 steps is far worse than one that stops to look. For 0.8 skips, far fewer of them. It actually goes and looks. Then there's compaction. When a run gets too long, the model compresses its own memory to keep going. That's usually where agents fall apart and drift. 4.8 holds the thread after that compression. On a 1,000,000 token retrieval test, it nearly doubled. From 40 up to 68%. The long traces stay on task. They even added a mode where it plans a job and spins up hundreds of sub-agents in one session. That's not a chatbot replying faster. That's a model you can actually leave alone. Buried in the system card was something nobody put in the headline. While 4.8 got more honest about its own mistakes, it got worse at something else entirely. Prompt injection. That's when an attacker hides a malicious instruction inside data your agent reads. A web page, an email, a file. And quietly hijacks it. On 4.7, those attacks landed about 6% of the time. On 4.8, nearly 10%. Sit with that. The safer, more honest model is measurably easier to hijack. And the cost isn't abstract. One poison page in something it reads, and that's your agent with your credentials doing what a stranger typed. Better behavior, weaker defense in the same update. Almost nobody mentions that half. Is 4.8 just a better model then? Not automatically. There are real reasons to think twice. First, it talks more. It generates more tokens per answer. So at scale, your bill quietly creeps up. Did it give you a dial? F for controls. Turn it up for deep reasoning. Drop it low for fast and cheap. For 0.7, never let you choose. The base price is identical, by the way. Same input cost, same output cost. And the fast tier actually got cheaper. My honest take, after a week with it, if your agents touch untrusted data, that injection regression alone is a reason to test before you switch. A more honest model that's also easier to trick isn't strictly an upgrade. It's a trade. And that trade only makes sense for some of you. Let me show you who. So, back to where we started. 2 answers, 1 question. The old model that sounded certain. The new one that admitted it didn't know. The jump from 4.7 to 4.8 was never really about being smarter. The benchmarks barely moved. It was about character. A model that stops bluffing, checks its tools, and tells you when it's unsure is worth more in real work than 2 points on a coding test. Just don't confuse more honest with more secure. On this update, those two moved in opposite directions. So, who's it actually for? If you write code, upgrade. The honesty alone pays for itself. If your agents read the open web, slow down and audit first. My one rule, upgrade for the honesty, audit for the injection. If that reframed how you think about these updates, that's the whole channel. Stick around, we go this deep every time.